What do you feel is the most important characteristic for a successful Rebbe Magid Rosh Yeshiva in 2025? If you're looking to hire someone, what's the biggest thing on the top of the list that you're looking for?
Social skills.
Does he need to be qualified for that?
He does not need a qualification. He needs to actually have social skills.
How do you elaborate on what's your definition?
How do you know?
Welcome everyone to the podcast HalachaU. The purpose of this podcast is to bridge the gap between Rabbanim and Mashpim and the Anash community. I am doing this with my friend Rabbi Bassman, who is the Menahel of several Halacha and Chassidus projects.
Thank you, Levi. Baruch Hashem, is a schus that I have the exposure to many prestigious Rabbanim and Mashpim who are often not given a proper platform. This podcast, HalachaU, will give a voice to these Rabbanim and Mashpim to share their thinking, their hashkafa, Chassidus, a deep dive into their backstory to help uplift the entire community.
Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing, because that helps the algorithm bring it to more people, which changes lives and brings
Okay, so it's a very big schus for our 8th interview. We have Rabbi Ephraim Lerner. He's a landsman of mine here in Pittsburgh, but I'm not going to go easy on him. We're going to ask the hard questions. But Rabbi Lerner was a Magid Shir in the. He came down first to be a Magid Shir in the Mesivta in Pittsburgh, teaching both Nigla and Chassidus. And interestingly, we'll talk about his family origins as well, because Rabbi Levi Mishalovin was a chavrusas with Rabbi Lerner since kindergarten. So hopefully we'll hear some good stories as we go along. And he then went from being an employee in the Mesivta in Pittsburgh to opening up his own zal with some unique goals and dreams that Mr. Hashem will get into, providing a mainstream yeshiva experience for those that can't necessarily sit for 9 hours straight, or 12 hours straight. He was a shliach in the yeshiva in Melbourne, received smicha from Rabbinical College of America in Morristown. He learned in Kollel, in Mayan Yisrael in Flatbush, where the young Galite were engaged with the community, shiurim and chavrusas. And Rabbi Lerner's mission in his zal is to provide his talmidim with the tools to continue learning in the future. And the yeshiva actually has some goals to continue having a long-term relationship with the bachurim even after they leave the yeshiva, providing the bachurim and imbuing them with Chassidus hanachas and a positive outlook on living as a Chabad Chassid should. So the first topic that I'd like to get into is Rabbi Lerner. Obviously, we know that the in terms of kamos of time, in the current yeshiva system, you spend the great majority of your time learning Gemora. So I'd like to hear from Rabbi Lerner a little bit about Gemora, and he has a particular passion for Gemora, particularly, in Chabad I think it's not a good thing, but Rabbi Lerner might disagree with me. We make less of a big deal about people's accomplishments in learning. Rabbi Lerner has a significant milestone that he reached at a very young age. He actually finished the whole Gemora in a pretty serious way already as a bacher in yeshiva. Completed the whole Shas, and it's a big passion of Rabbi Lerner. You follow Rabbi Lerner around; he always has a Gemara, and it's not just Ksubis this year. It could be Zvachim and Mayed Katan and Kodshim and Taris and whatnot. If we need to finish Mesechtas in our Chalukas Shas, I try to go to Rabbi Lerner. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to finish Shas. It's not a common goal that you hear about from most Bachrim.
I see you're not going to hold back.
Oh, I barely got started. This is still very late.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me on. And Levi and myself, we actually, I think it was Shagim Mesivta, we were chavrusas for Gemara. I'm not mistaken, was Baba Basra that year.
Yeah.
And the Gemara journey, it was a nice journey. We're still just beginning. I don't like the word finished. You never finish. You just, if you learned it once or twice, then you need to learn it a third time and a fourth time. It's bittul Torah if you only learn something once. In any event. So I wouldn't say the journey of Gemara learning is started towards the end of Shir Gimel Mesivta. You're making choices about where you're going to go for Zal and what you're going to do and how you're going to where your life is going to lead. So different things happened, and speaking to different people that helped cause it. But one memorable moment I could share about it is there was one night where I was locked out of my house. I stayed at home. I live very close to Yeshiva, and I came home. My parents were out of town. And I got locked out. So there were some people there, but they were all sleeping, and I didn't have a phone. Baruch Hashem. Back and not that long ago, but only a couple years ago, not everyone had a phone at that age. I didn't, and so I was 16, 17. So I looked around, and I needed to get into the house. And across the street, there was a yid by the name of Rabbi Roisman. I think he moved to Arizona now. He's a rabbi there. So his light was on, Baruch Hashem. And I knocked on the door. His wife answered the door. I said, can I call my parents? I'm locked out of the house. Sure, I walk in. And he came out and he asked me what Mesivta I'm learning. Now, it's sorry to say this, I couldn't remember what Mesivta I was learning at that time. For whatever reason, I could give you excuses. There was different tests then in LA. Some Bakram had me take. There's an English program there, so there was there's SATs. I couldn't remember what Mesivta I was learning, and it shocked me. Well, I couldn't even. I'm in yeshiva the whole day, and which Mesivta I'm learning was not able to be answered. So that was one. Moment when it made me stop and think. Attend Shir Gimel Mesivta. What am I going to do for Zal? What am I going to do in the future? Do I want to be someone that's learning throughout my life? And the answer was yes, I do, and therefore it's going to take effort. And time, also consistency. There are a few different things. Effort and consistency sometimes go together, sometimes don't, and it's hard to always have consistency, but that's how you could accomplish things. And so over time, Baruch Hashem, we worked on it, and over the next few years, day by day, you learn every day a little bit of Gemara.
How did you break it up? Like if you were advising some aspiring bacher that's in Shir Gimel that wants to follow, what would your roadmap be? What would you recommend if a bacher came over to you and said, I want to finish Shas and Yeshiva? What would your practical suggestions be?
Right. First of all, the question is, you have to have an understanding that this is going to take you at least 2 years, 3 years to do, and it's going to take a lot of time, and you have to be dedicated to that time every day. So the first thing is to know that the first 2 months are the hardest, because to make something a part of your life takes time. Once it becomes part of your life daily, then it's easy to continue, or easier to continue. So that's one thing. The mindset is that I'm here for the long haul. Today I'm only going to learn 2 blot or 3 blot of Gemara, which doesn't take that long. It could take an hour, 2 hours. But I'm going to do that not just today, but tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and then the day after Yitzhak Kislev and the day after Yom Kippur, and all the days in between, which are not, those days are the ones that make it actually accomplished. Any goal is when it's on the days that everyone takes a break, you don't take a break. That's really how you could do it. And
is it a time per day, or is it like a daf, or like
So I did a time per day. Have an hour or 2 every day where you have a quiet place where you go and you just learn. And if you have a cell phone, turn off your cell phone. It could be for anything. It doesn't have to be for Shas.
But this outside of the yeshiva curriculum, or you got permission to do it during some sidarim?
This was mainly outside. Towards the end, I asked permission to actually also do it during yeshiva. During the times of Seder yeshiva. But it's mainly at night after Seder every single night. It just has to be consistent that every night you do it, no matter what. You learn your hour or 2.
Rashi program?
This was mainly Gemara Rashi, yeah.
And was there
Mainly, even at the beginning, it was very much just Gemara. I started not being able to read
was this with an
Aramaic.
art
It
scroll, or
was
was
with an art
this
scroll, and
okay?
then writing it
Did
down
you
or
listen to
reviewing it,
shiurim, or was
and then
all reading?
no, I can't listen to shiurim. I fall asleep when I listen to shiurim. So
I won't. We'll tell your talmidim to skip that, skip over that section.
skip that segment. No, yeah, if I'm listening to someone, usually I'm asleep within 5-10 minutes. It's very good. It's a very good thing for me. If I want to fall asleep, I put on a shiur, and you can fall asleep. Um, but
But
but no,
there's no shiurim in the Pittsburgh Zal. Everyone learns solo.
no. There are shiur, Baruch Hashem. But in any event, so yeah. It started with that, then slowly graduated to a regular Gemara, etc. As I learned more, it's a slow process, Baruch Hashem. So
Was it
you're not.
learning and chazering, or you just always moved on? You
So
mentioned chazara being
yeah,
important.
yeah. So the different ways, different kufas of doing chazara. Sometimes it's writing down the daf. Sometimes it's going over the daf the next morning, the next day before you move on. Now there you won't remember everything, especially over that amount of time and that amount of material. But there is some chazara that has to be done. And then there's some mesechtas that you do more, some mesechtas you do less. You end up finding your mesechta that you like the most.
Now let me ask you a hard question. I'll
Yeah.
preface. It's a hard question.
Okay.
This is well, like, so I had a lot of interesting independent Siddharim and yeshivas, and
Yeah.
here were the traditional Lubavitcher pushback that I got from my chaverim. Um, Someone has a personal passion to finish some Gemora, and, like, let's say, someone enjoys learning Gemara more than, let's say, three perokim rambam.
Yeah.
So I had guys that would, like, make fun of me at a periods of time where I preferred to have my extra Seder Mishnayos, Gemara, Menchas Chinuch, whatever it was, versus
Mm.
learning three prakim Rambam. What would your thoughts be on that type of, teasing that goes on in our circles?
So number one, I would say, I did not do that. I don't suggest it. I mean, Chitas Rambam, I think, is very important. The Rebbe wanted it done for a reason. It's something that everyone could do and should do. It's not something that I was willing to compromise to then learn more Gemara. So I guess that's how my opinion is formed. I feel that
Well,
there are things the
for
Rebbe
the record,
directed. Right,
sorry for interrupting. For the record, I don't want to lose my job in any of the organizations I'm
right,
working for. I learn Chitas and Rambam, Baruch Hashem. I'm asking a theoretical
right,
question.
right,
I had
right,
to say
right.
that. Sorry, go
Right.
ahead.
So if this is a theoretical question, I am not an advocate for someone not doing Chitas or Rambam in order to then learn more of some other subject. It seems the Rebbe found that important. Not just it seems, it is. The Rebbe found that very important and felt that it's necessary for every single chassid to learn. Once you're doing already, if you're learning Shlosh Prakim Rambam, you are covering the entire Torah in a year. Not in the same way of learning Gemara, but it's a very big accomplishment in its own right. And that might be something worth focusing on first and getting done first. So, yeah, Minchas Chinuch is nice, but I feel that would come, Chitas and Ram would come first.
Okay. So going back to the subject of Gemora, what are your thoughts about this? Goes back centuries. I think there was a big machlokes, the Rashba and the Rosh with the Rambam, about how integral is the study of Gemara to Psak Halacha and in general to be part of the curriculum. Should that be the main subject? Do you feel that when the Gemara was learned in the yeshivas in Europe, maybe 10 to 20 to 30% of Bachrim went to yeshiva. Today, where we
Right.
mainstream yeshiva, do you still feel that we should be learning Gemara 5 hours a day? Do you feel that is the best way to engage a Bacher in your experience or your thinking?
So I want to take a step back about it's only recently where every single person is going through the whole yeshiva system. That's a recent development, for sure, after World War II. And yeshivas, mainly, the learning of Gemara for so many hours a day is made for, I would say, 20%, to be generous, maybe up to 50% of people to sit and learn for 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day Gemara. Not everyone is shaykh to the rigors and the depth and the it's there's a lot of steps in every Gemara. You could have back and forth that takes a whole page, and then you have to remember all the different opinions, etc. Not everyone is shaykh to that, and that's fine. But yeshivas were made in such a way that that's the approach. That's who we're targeting. And nowadays, that's not who's coming to yeshiva, because everyone's going to yeshiva. So that means you have a bacher who is on shpilkas, can barely sit for 3 minutes, but he's expected to sit for 6-7 hours of Gemara, which is not just a big ask, but I think an impossible ask. He wants to learn. He wants to be in a good miscaris. He wants to grow as a chassid. But perhaps for him, you have to have it be that he's learning Gemara for a lot less time. And he's learning other subjects in other ways that will help him out.
In terms of percentages, what would you of let's say to put a guesstimate on it?
Yeah.
If you say, let's say there's 100% of Bachrim, what percentage of Bachrim do you feel are not shaykh to the 6 hours a day of Gemara?
It's probably half and half.
Yeah. So what do you do with the other half? If it's 50%?
What do we do with the other half? So that's why we open the yeshiva.
So do you feel that these two halves should be in two different yeshivas, or do you feel it's practical for one yeshiva to cater to all of them?
It's practical. Well, what do you call a yeshiva? So Mir is a yeshiva, but Mir has many different tracks. There's thousands of bachrim. You can have one institution, but you're going to have 2 tracks in a yeshiva for them.
So sorry, go ahead, Levi.
Being that you're someone that definitely could learn for so long, I'm just wondering how you, out of all people, are pushing and for helping out the bachrim that can handle it. Just it's interesting. Where did that come from? If you're someone that's not like that, how are you advocating for people who can handle that?
Well, what do we need? Why am I putting another yeshiva that I think there's already enough Lubavitcher yeshivas for all the bachrim that could sit and learn all day.
Right. My question is where did it come from, this idea?
I was on Shlichus in Melbourne, in YG, with very big. I look up to a lot to Rabbi Cohen there, who spends his time year after year, day after day. He learns Gemara with bachrim of all levels, of all types, and he does an amazing job. He has his yeshiva also by levels of Gemara, meaning if you show up there, you're going to get a faher, and you're going to be placed in a level of Gemara. Not everyone's on the same level, which therefore it doesn't go by age; it goes by level of Gemara. And that perhaps me going there for 2 years perhaps caused me to think that there has to be more of these yeshivas, not just in Melbourne, but also in the United States. I don't know exactly. It wasn't that one day I woke up and I said, "Oh, let's open a yeshiva." It's slowly. So
right, this is the main aspect of this yeshiva is to cater for those bachrim who can't handle the whole day doing Gemara for so long. That's the main thing.
Correct. Now that doesn't mean that they're not smart or they can't learn. That just means they don't want to sit and learn Gemara for 6 hours. There's a difference. I've met a lot of wise people that are not learning Gemara all day, that invented amazing things and that do amazing work on shlichus and have Chabad with hundreds of people listening to shiurim and mukuravim and buildings, and there's a lot to be done besides for learning Gemara. Now, personally, my main occupation is Gemara, but that's why I guess I put myself in a job that brings out that strength. But if you have a strength to do interviews on Zoom, then you should put yourself in such a situation to do so. In Mascaris of Kedusha. So it just depends on the person.
You still feel, it seems, that even if you want to dial down from 6 hours to 3 hours of Gemara, a
Yeah.
Gemora still is the main subject that a bacher should be learning. Could an argument be made that maybe that should be relooked at?
No, a yeshiva is learning Torah, and the mean and potatoes, if you could say, of Torah is Gemara. Nothing to do with whether it's practical, whether it's not practical. It doesn't matter. Whether you're going to use it in 20 years from now or not, it doesn't matter. The central part of Torah is Gemara. That's where the dialogue of Yiddishkeit is happening. Then you have Chassidus, then you have Halacha, but those are the outcomes of Gemara. Well, Chassidus is the outcome of the Rabbeim, but in any event, everything else, Gemara is the central part of learning, and of what a bacher is supposed to be doing. I mean, you can't get rid of that. On the other hand, you could have that be a couple hours instead of 6, and have Shulchan Aruch in the afternoon. Have different. There's different ways of learning.
And do you feel that a bacher should? And obviously, this is the tradition. I'm more playing devil's advocate. I agree that this is what the Rebbeim wanted. I'm just trying to understand. In other words, can an argument be made that before you start learning Gemara, you should really have mastered Tanakh and Mishnayos, and let's learn for the first. If a bacher is coming to Zal and he doesn't know the whole Mishnayos with Bartanura gives you the flavor of the Gemara. Let's sit and come out of the first 2 years of Zal knowing 3 Sedorim of Mishnayos. Yes, they should have done that since Kittei, but we won't go there. But kids don't know Chumash, Rashi, Navi, the Zechariah. Who's Zechariah? And here we're learning Abaya Rava about some nuance, and we're kvetching on 7 steps in a Tosfos, but these people don't know the Yesodus.
Right. So I'll tell you actually, I guess in a personal anecdote, my shver learned in Gateshead. And the Rosh Yeshiva of Gateshead was asked about this fact because he's taking bachrim, many of them that were in not secular, but Hebrew school education. Now they're coming to yeshiva for a year or two, whatever it is. And they're going straight to learning Gemara in depth, and they could be learning one daf for a month. So you cover 10 daf in a year, let's say, and that's it, and then you leave. So Frektach Shaila, you're not the bacher came in, he didn't know very much information of Torah. He leaves, he doesn't know very much information of Torah. So maybe you should switch it up. Either learn a lot of gears, or learn Mishnayos like you were saying with Bartanura, etc., and other subjects, and not learn Gemara. So he said as follows. He said, I'm trying to compete with a high level of interesting information that then the college is offering, the university is offering, etc. And if I would just have them learning very much basics, then we would be lacking in the excitement, in the depth, in the ideas that Torah has to offer, which would not be able to combat such ideas that exist in the secular world. So for me to be able to fight that, I need to have an in-depth class of Gemara. I need to have something that's interesting. Now that's not shaykh for everyone. Some people don't need or want, and perhaps nowadays it's less and less that people need that in-depth learning of Gemara. But at the same time, there is a certain idea that Gemara offers something that no other part of Yiddishkeit is going to offer. And it's always important. It can't be taken away.
You see that it engages the bachrim when you get into the 4-way machlokes rishonim. Are they blown away?
Sometimes, not every day, but you have to keep trying.
So maybe I'm always back to let's go back to the drawing board. I know we're gonna get to your yeshiva, but if, as you said, I heard a similar verse from Rabbi Soloveitchik from Yeshiva University the 50% of the bachrim that can't sit for 6 hours learning Gemara, are you catering to these guys that are looking for chemistry level Gemara, or the guys just want to feel like they're accomplishing something and they're really coming up with something on their level?
So there has to be a balance. Number one, we have shiurim by level, right? Of Gemara by level, but so that allows them to be able to learn. Someone that could only learn a Gemara or only learn a Gemara Rashi needs a class that's going to help him with that. But at the same time, you have to also sprinkle in the fact that this is a very intricate and deep subject. This is something that's amazing. There's a lot of depth here. It's Torah. Torah is endless. Ein Beis HaMedrash B'lo Chidush. It has to be explained, and the bachlash have to experience that. Now, someone that cannot read a Gemara yet, you have to be teaching him mainly, or mostly, or almost the entire day is focused on, almost the entire time of learning Gemara is focused on just learning the Gemara. What's the question of the Gemara? What's the answer? What's the proof? But at the same time, he's 18. He's not 6 or 7 or 8. So if you stop there, at a certain point, it would become dull. And therefore, you have to also bring in these more exciting and interesting ideas as well.
What's your opinion on pace of Gemara?
Pace. Yeah, I feel you should be learning at least an Abud, Gemara Rashi Tesis a week, perhaps a Dach, Gemara Rashi Tesis a week. I'm moving
Is
on.
that what the boys are doing there?
Yeah. We learn a Gemara, we learn a Amud of Gemara Rashi Tesis, and if someone doesn't finish it, we still are moving on. Because people get bored nowadays. You're dealing with the ADHD generation, and you're fighting YouTube Shorts and TikToks and Instagram posts. Everything has to be quick and easy. I don't know how people watch an hour-long interview, but
hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Hey,
I didn't know this.
Joe Rogan is 3 hours. So some people they do want long form, but you have to keep them engaged. In other words,
right. They switch the screen back and forth every 3 seconds, every 5 seconds, or something like that. Right? Yeah. They're going this view, that view. You guys are going to have to get more professional. I'm joking. That's all.
Even if someone listens to us and helps them fall asleep.
Right. For me, you'll help me out.
I want to ask you, what do you think about people who say that Gemara is not for them? And to put it in another way, if they're not so interested, I guess it's like 2 levels. What would you say to that?
Right. Gemara is able to be learned by anyone. Anyone can learn a Gemara. You just need the right teaching. You just need the right pace for you. It doesn't matter what age. I have the Baruch Hashem. There's a Balabas who is kind of retired and way older than me. He comes to yeshiva every day and joins my shir, and we've been learning since the beginning of the year. Daily, he comes and joins the class. Anyone is able to learn Gemara at their level. So that means you have to join the level that you're up to. If you're a beginner and you go to a shir of Rishonim, it's not going to work. But you could, and you will gain an appreciation for Gemara. And as I said, it's the meat and potatoes of Yiddishkeit. It's really where everything happens. So it's something that can't be disregarded. At the same time, I don't know if someone that doesn't have an interest in Gemara should choose that as his very first subject. Perhaps he could start with learning something else. But I don't think Gemara is to be disregarded in any way.
Of course, you can have your Libui Chafetz, but you're saying it's shaykh for everyone.
It's very much central to Torah. To learning Torah.
Do you think if we talk in 18 months, you might say, you know what, maybe we should do 2 hours a day of Mishnayos and 1 hour a day of Gemara? Is it possible that you'll for someone that's coming to yeshiva and he really doesn't know a lot, that might be the path?
A case by case basis, I could see about a specific person, but no, it's not. A bacher needs time in learning Gemara. That is the central part of a yeshiva.
You think they should start learning Gemara in 4th and 5th grade like they do? Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah. To get the basics in. The reason why we have now, which we're dealing with some bachrim who have almost no knowledge of Gemara, is I don't know why it happened, but they've shown up in Zal without learning Gemara.
Why don't we follow the rabbis of Pirkei Avos?
Yeah.
And Chumash Lemikra until you're 15. Don't start learning Gemara. Learn Mishnayos for 5 years. Master Mishnayos, and then start Gemara. Like, is it possible that they were right?
I don't want to argue with the Mishnah. I think they are right, but the question is: are the boys going to master Mishnayos at that age? Are they going to then master before then Chumash? Tanakh at that age, And then if that's not happening, then the approach has to be according to what the situation is.
This podcast is sponsored by Semichas Chaver Chabad, HalachaU, and Women's Halacha Circle. In over 100 communities around the world, Halacha for everyone. Halacha curriculum that we provide for your community to teach the halachas, to engage people in halacha, to make halacha interesting. We have Smichas Chaver Chabad for Anash communities. For those that have a yeshiva background, we have HalachaU, which are advanced courses being taught in Chabad houses around the world. For those that don't have a yeshiva background but want serious, roll up your sleeve learning, super engaging, take them through the journey of the halacha down to the super, super practical. Every 6 months is a new topic. After Pesach, we are starting the sugya of workplace halachas, the laws of ribis, the laws of baltolin, paying your workers on time, and the laws of yichud. Fascinating sugyas. We have it on various levels for those that have a yeshiva background, those that don't have a yeshiva background, for women as well. Check out SCP-Chabad.org or HalachaU.org. Click join to schedule a meeting with me to learn more. This podcast is sponsored by Kollel Lomdei Dach. Revolutionize your limud chassidus. Join over 200 shluchim and anash that are taking their limud chassidus to the next level. In Kollel Lomdei Dach, you have expert mashpiyim, Rabbi Farkash, Rabbi Yosef Klein, Rabbi Yitzchak Coffin, numerous guest mashpiyim that learn chassidus in a unique way, broken up by sugyas. Every 2-3 months, we take a new sugya and we dissect it from its haskalah to its avodah, level by level. For bringing on the sugya, discussing the avodah aspects of the sugya, the practical application of the sugya. Schedule a conversation today with the Menahel or Paltiel and learn chassidus like you have never done before.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So if we can get personal, especially, I can kind of remember and fill in and stuff. How was start off with, how was your yeshiva experience for you?
Baruch Hashem. The yeshiva experience I enjoyed. Learn Hara, it was not a struggle, it wasn't difficult. I had my ups and downs. Some years were better than others, but overall, I when the parents come back and they tell their children, don't waste your time in yeshiva like I did. I don't think I have that, and that's why I guess I'm still in yeshiva.
Yeah, I could testify to that. My memory of you is that you were always with a Gemora. That's you. That's it. On all your breaks.
This is even before he was locked out of the house, or this is a.
I was learning laning then. I wasn't learning Gemara.
That's true. Yeah, that and laning, those two. Right.
Anyways,
Lerner is also a very good balkaida. He's a balkaida.
Okay. Anyways, Shine. We'll cut
was
that
there?
part. Yeah.
Was there a difference between Yeshiva Ketana and Yeshiva Ketana for you, like especially different yeshivas?
Was there a difference?
Mesivta and Zal, was there a major difference for you? Different environment, I know definitely.
Yeah, there's a very big change in environment. Mesivta, as I said before, I was home in LA. Zal, I was in Baltimore in a dorm. So it was a big adjustment, to say the least. And I guess it was good to be in a full misgaris of yeshiva. It's very, very important. So,
right. Who are your most inspirational teachers?
Most inspirational teachers. So Rav Nachum Bukit is a very, very, I guess, inspiring. You're asking for inspirational teachers, so he was one of them. Still is. And I'm still in touch with him. Ramosha Stavtitsky is in Baltimore as well. In touch with them. I would say like this. I actually, when you guys were thinking to interview me, so I was thinking about this. Rabbi Cohen in YG, I would say was a big teacher of Gemora for me. How to approach a Gemara. how to learn the pshat of Gemara, a real pshat of Gemara, not just a superficial pshat, and not to let anything go by, but on the other hand, not to get caught in all the, I don't want to say it like this, but the hakachainik that could happen when a person is thinking and trying to gribblin zich in the sugya, but to understand what is the Gemara really saying. What are the two opinions, Rashi, Tesis? Why does Rashi say his opinion? Why does Tesis say his? Why do they not say the other opinions? Is there another way to approach the Gemara? All these questions, which are not getting into your own mind, but getting into the mind of the Gemara. So that was probably the biggest teacher of Gemara in my life. But every teacher has something to give in his own way. Some teachers teach you the Torah. Some teachers are educating you how to live as a chassid. Some teachers are educating you how to be an educator, in my case. And you don't have to be worried about having more than one teacher, or more than one mashpia in different areas. One person I call nowadays, older principal, when I have a big problem, I don't know what to do. With something happened in yeshiva. What's the response? So before you respond, you could call a different mentor, a different mashpia. One person, you have a personal mashpia. One person guides you in how to learn. Someone else you're reaching out about chassidus or don't be worried to have multiple people that you look up to, and in different facets of your life. So that's what I would say. I have a couple teachers or mashpiyim that guide me in different parts of my day, and I hope other people could do the same.
It's interesting because it says asay l'charav, like lashon yachid, but we seem to understand it that you can have a asay l'charav in like each tchum. You have your own. It's interesting, right?
Well, one of them have to be the Rav.
Like
you have to have a Rav too. You have to have a Rav too.
Right. Right.
Who do you ask your halachic shabbos to? Yeah, perhaps that's not what the Mishnah is trying to say in this case. Yeah.
What parts of yeshiva? Were there any parts of yeshiva that you didn't like, and that when you now have the ability to run your own organization, there were some changes that you made based on your experiences as a buffer?
I didn't have a part of yeshiva which I greatly disliked. Some I enjoyed more than others, but overall, if you understand the need for each part of yeshiva, in Tem Chetzmim was not invented by any one of us. It was invented by a Rebbe. So there's an idea that the Rebbe set it up, that there's chassidus in the morning, chassidus at night, that there's Gemora learning in the middle of for most of the day, Halacha at the end of the day, towards the end, and when you approach it like that, you don't want chassidus to be there? You didn't enjoy chassidus. I enjoy chassidus. Did I enjoy every?
It's run by mortals. Were there like an aspect of a certain teacher that treated students in a certain way, and you're like, I don't want to do that, or just the way it was designed by a rabbeim and run by mortals.
Right.
So,
right. Saying, was there ever a mortal that I felt I didn't get along with? That's what you're asking.
Or like an experience in yeshiva that changed the way you said, if I were to do this myself, I'm going to design it this way, or not necessarily fundamental changes to the core curriculum, but just the style.
Right. So there is a change which I think is happening throughout all yeshivas, just because of the generation that we're in, which is that the old school way of teaching was a lot more harsh, a lot more strict, a lot more on the Gemora side of things, which needs to be just because of the situation that you look at, the world, it has to be different now. I'll just give an example. A teacher is not able to hit a student. Now, they weren't able to when I was in yeshiva, I'm not that old. But the change is like that. There's other changes as well. Kenosim are something I disdain. They're necessary in certain ways, but for someone that comes late to get a knas, I'm not such an advocate. I know some people like it. It makes the yeshiva tick, so they're entitled to do it that way. But
What
I
type
never
of
liked it.
punishments do you give in your yeshiva?
So if you're causing a loss of other people's property or a loss of other people's time, invading other people's space, then you could give a monetary knas or something of the sort. But if it's your own time that you're wasting, I don't give a monetary knas. Ultimately, a bacher is sent home if he's not showing up, and he's spoken to beforehand multiple times.
So is that, and a monetary knas wouldn't have remedied that situation better than sending him home?
The monetary knas sometimes will work faster and better. I am not arguing with that. What I'm arguing with is that the whole approach to an 18-year-old, which we are trying to treat them as adults, should be as that they're adults. So if they don't want to come, like lahavdil in a college, if you don't come, you fail the class. Now, if you're failing school, then you know why are you here? And the parents should be notified. Your son hasn't shown up in a week or two, and discussed how we could better that, and what interests him. What do you want? At the same time, other things you need to have strict standards for other things. You know, and you can't have a bacher not keeping Shabbos. Let's just give a more strong dogma. If a bacher is not keeping Shabbos, he can't be in yeshiva. Yeah, and if a bacher takes someone else's things, you have to give him a knas. But his own learning, his own growth within the realms of a normal Lubavitch standard. I don't know if the best situation is to remedy it with money, because then you're actually lowering the value of the learning. The learning now is worth the $3 or $5 that the knas was given.
Is it treating him with more chesed, or treating him more like an adult? In other words, sometimes treating him like an adult, the consequences in the real world are pretty harsh.
Right. So it could be a harsher knas if he reaches the point where you have to tell him he has to go. So that's a very harsh knas, which is a big realization that he'll learn. It's a big life lesson because he's an adult. I don't know if it's being more kind or just being in a different mindset of how you approach a bacher.
Do you feel that for today's bacherim, like what would be the ratio in terms of chesed and gevura? You know, they talk in chinuch about an 80-20, and for an older bacher 90-10. Like, what number would you put on? That's more for parenting. What would you put on a on a Menahel or a Rosh Yeshiva, like your position? What's the ratio of chesed versus gevura?
So I don't know if it's ratio. It's more of approach, like we were saying before. You approach him as an adult. So listen, you're not living up to standard. Instead of it being, knas every day, it's more, here's where your attendance looks, here's where your learning looks, here's what you accomplished or didn't accomplish. So the question is what you're taking out of this and what time you're wasting. I don't want to give it a percentage, because I don't feel I don't feel that it's gevura versus chesed in the way of I guess a child being educated, where then it's either you're giving him a punishment or you're giving him a reward. Here you're trying to move past that. Now we still do have some rewards and we still do have some punishments, but the goal is not that.
So all this applies to Zal because you're Rosh Yeshiva of a Zal, but would this apply to Mesivta too?
100% not.
Okay,
there's a change. There's a switch. There's a switch that a bacher is supposed to make when he goes to Zal. Perhaps it needs more. I was speaking with a different Menahel about the idea that there has to be more of a transition, a longer transition. Not that they ended Mesivta one day and they show up to Zal, so to speak, the next day, and all of a sudden they go from a Mesivta of a child to Mesivta of an adult, and the freedom that comes with that. So there has to be more of a gradual shift. But the idea is, in Zal you are an adult, and in Mesivta you are still a child, and there's a change, a big change that occurs then. It takes some time to adjust, but it's necessary. We can't keep everyone. Yes, sorry.
What was his suggestion about how to make the gradual?
What was his suggestion?
Yeah.
It was that we need a year, either at the end of Mesivta or at the beginning of Zal, in which it is slowly changed. For example, the amount of access to phone is slowly changed. You don't show up the first day and just have a phone like it is in some zals, or in some other zals still do the Mesivta thing which I feel is just causing Bachram to sneak a phone. That they say no smartphones. But most people have a smartphone. I can attest from my years in yeshiva, which wasn't that long ago, but everyone has one. So there has to be a gradual change. There has to be a year after Shirgim Mesivta before Shir Aleph Dal, where there is a change in that you're slowly creating a sense of freedom, but you're teaching the Bacher how to act freely, where he should set his own limits.
It's not able to be part of the Shir Gimel or Shir Aleph.
Could be.
Because I think I think in LA, I remember they kind of tell you, oh, but yeah, not as nearly as much as you're saying. It's very a joke compared to what really needs to be. Yeah.
Right.
We did an interview with Yitzchak Einstein from New Haven, Mashpi over there.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the Welt, it's referred to. I mean, there's a mimer about this about Shevivim, goes back to the Chazal, I believe, or the Rishonim for sure, Sefer Kabbalah. It's a time to talk about Shmiras habris and those struggles. So you bring up the phone and whatnot. So what we were discussing with Rabbi Einstein, and he has a koch in talking about this. I'm wondering how you approach those conversations with Bacher, and particularly in this age. Is it something that you proactively discuss openly? The Rebbe did, recommend in many letters, not talking about it openly, but do you feel perhaps today there needs to be more discussion about it, what's your in your experience in the Mesivta and the Zal, what do you see about this, and how do you get Bachurim to be honest about it and discuss the struggles?
So to start with, unfortunately, almost every Bacher will have access to a smartphone, and therefore every Bacher knows that he could go down a path where he's leading himself to being watching things that he shouldn't, or doing things that he shouldn't. Okay, let's start. What was your? Okay, so I lost my train of thought.
How do we? Yeah, no, this is a very complicated, sensitive topic.
Right.
But
I have an idea of what you were trying to say, but
no,
yeah.
I guess practically, do you feel that today we should be talking more openly with Bachurim about these struggles, or should we follow the approach that in the past where this is more taboo and just ignore it and push it under the way there has Hadas, or should there be more open, proactive discussion about this, maybe more than what was needed, even 10 years ago?
Yeah. So there are things that are Dvarim Shebetzina. Certain things are not discussed in public anyways, and no matter what. That doesn't mean they don't have to be discussed, and that doesn't mean by a fabringen everyone knows what you're referring to. So meaning, the one hand, we have a mashpia, sit down with every bracha and discuss their phone with them, what they want on their phone, what they don't want. He'll place a block on it. The goal is to have the bacher want the phone to be blocked, because if the bacher doesn't want the phone blocked, the phone is not blocked no matter what block you put on it. Whether it is that he gets around the block or he gets another phone, which nowadays could be purchased for as little as $20.
I'm very curious to know what he says to them that makes them want to have the block, and is he always successful?
So you're never always successful. That's first of all. Second of all, everyone has to have a block, but it will only work. What I'm trying to say is it will only work if a person wants that to work. In general, anything, it's only going to work if someone wants it to work. Which is why the approach is to have every bacher must have a conversation with mashpia specifically about their phone. Not just in general, how are you, but this is a conversation about your phone. And you can be honest with me. because you're not getting in trouble for what's on your phone or not. That's not why you get in trouble, and therefore you shouldn't have to sneak a second phone. We don't want you having a second phone. We want you to have what you're up to on this phone, because if not, you're going to get a second phone. I don't want you to have that, and you don't want yourself to have that. But you're going to go there because you didn't get enough access on this phone. Unfortunately, phones are a big addiction, and they're perhaps the hardest thing in our generation to deal with is a phone.
If another Menal's listening to this, and or a parent, what have you learned over the last year or two as being a Menal in terms of tools to get a teenager, for an adult to build a relationship with a teenager, even though you're living in two different worlds? What
Right.
Are there any tips or tricks to building a relationship with these bachurim that are maybe not so interested, not on fire?
Right. So if you're talking specifically about phones,
phones are in general. Oh, yeah.
Right. So I'm going to first focus on what we were just discussing, which is, I specifically, I'm very open with the bachurim. I have my phone blocked. I'll say it to the whole world. Baruch Hashem. My wife has my password to my phone. My wife sees what I do on my computer, and I have no problem saying that. And therefore, it creates an open relationship about talking about your phone, because there's no way around it. Ein apotropos la'arayos. Unless you're a tzaddik, if you have an open phone and you're young, you're a shaita. There's no other way to put it. And therefore, if you approach it like that, and I'm able to be honest with you and honest with them, then they're able to be honest with you as well, because it's not so taboo. Now, that doesn't mean you should go around talking about, this is not a public discussion about what exactly they do on their phone. And it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that they understand that it's not something that only they are struggling with. If they know that everyone has their addiction to a phone, then they could talk to you about it. They're not scared about it, which is more of a general thing, that now you could not just talk to them about what they do on their phone, but also how long they're on their phone. Placing limits on WhatsApp, placing limits on other apps. If someone has Instagram or any social media, or just in general having a browser on a phone or not, you're able to then talk to them about it, because they know that you yourself are in their shoes. You yourself have somewhat of a struggle. It's probably not as great as theirs, because you're older, and kind of how you're married, you're busy, you have a job, and you just don't have the same amount of time to even spend that time on it. But then you could start the conversation from there. You ask them, so what do you want on your phone? How long do you want to be spending on your phone? They don't want to be spending 7, 8, 10 hours or 13 hours on their phone during vacation. I could promise you that. So if they don't want that, then you could say, okay, so let's put a block on it. Let's put 2 hours during vacation and 1 hour in yeshiva on your WhatsApp. They'll probably be fine with it.
So you're promoting vulnerability from teacher to pupil?
To an extent. There's always limits to everything.
Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson, for example, in his last Yudis Kislev Farbrengen, he spoke for an hour.
We have been in touch with him about our yeshiva, Baruch Hashem. Yeah.
Okay, he's very good. Yeah. So he spoke for an hour about how the study of Chassidus has helped with his personal struggle with depression. So that was probably one of the first times, and he probably has thousands of people listening to this Farbrengen. That was probably one of the first times where I heard a mashpia be so vulnerable in public. And I wondered, do you think something like that is helpful, or would you think
I don't know what that was. I didn't listen to it. I'm not, as I said earlier, I can't listen to Shiurim. I fall asleep. Rabbi Weiwei is very good. He keeps me up.
This is a Farbrengen. This is a Farbrengen.
To listen, I still fall asleep. But he keeps me up for longer than most people. But I am not in that particular situation. I don't know that particular situation. What I would say is there are always limits to, if you're an educator, if you're in a position of authority, to what you share. Obviously, it's not about you.
Think in our door being more vulnerable is a positive thing?
It depends. There is a limit, but the question is where, and that's
In other words, in the past, there was zero vulnerability in my experience. I never had a mashpia that was vulnerable. You're
there
inferring,
is, right,
at least
right.
in my experience that I can remember. If you talked about what did if I were to make a yeshiva, like I don't remember my mashpia being vulnerable, or if it was an extremely rare occasion. I was very impressed how you said how sharing your vulnerability with the smartphone. I think that's brilliant, but I wonder if that's you feel using that tool maybe more than what is common is a positive thing.
Yeah. Again, there's always limits and boundaries of what you share, but sharing something like that is very it's eye-opening to them. Oh, wait, so you mean that this is something that everyone has? Everyone has a smartphone and everyone wants to be on it all day. Yeah, that blue light is going to get to you no matter what age you are.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people we do interviews and it's posted on YouTube as well, but I can't do YouTube. It's just I'm not a big enough tzaddik to control myself on YouTube, so I just don't do YouTube. So yeah, sharing that type of thing, and we even had a question: should we post these interviews on YouTube? And I pushed back to a lot of mashpiyim, and they said, well, everyone's anyways on YouTube, so whatever. The mashpiyim pushed us to put it on YouTube, but like personally, I'm 100% on board that the more talk about the personal struggle, I think, would go a long way.
Yeah. I think there's space to be vulnerable, but there's also limits that everyone has to have.
This podcast is sponsored by Kollel Rabbanei Chabad. Kollel Rabbanei Chabad is a community of experienced rabbanim, aspiring rabbanim, over 100 shluchim and anash from around the world, staying fresh in sugyas of community rabbanos, learning over 8 to 10 hours a week, Gemora, Tur, Beis Yosef, Rosh Kollel, Sgan Rosh Kollel, senior poskim, follow-up, chavrusa placement, to be able to stay fresh in these sugyas and to learn not just shimush and practical psak, but also shimush in the room of rabbanos. The Kollel has so far learned over the past 2 years the sugyas of tvilas kelim and agalas kelim, hilchas nida, and we're soon going to be starting hilchas mikvois. And you can join at any time. Schedule a conversation with the Rosh Kollel today at kollelrabbanechabad.org. This podcast is sponsored by Kollel Aliba de Hilchasa, the brand new Kollel with the Rosh Kollel, Rav Yaakov Goldstein, Sgan Rosh Kollel, Rav Menachem Rottenberg, Menahel Poyel, Rav Mendel Weisfish, all active, experienced, Moida Hayra. Follows an 8-year syllabus. Every 6 months is a new topic, broken up into subtopics. Until Pesach, we're learning the halachas of Hilchas Avelus and Bikur Cholim. After Pesach, we're learning workplace halacha, Hilchas Ribis, Hilchas Baltolin, and Hilchas Yichud. It's a serious learning Gemora, Shulchan Aruch inside. 3 hours a week of chavrusa learning. Help find you a chavrusa, set up a chavrusa. And then there's 2 in-depth shiurim per week, 2 live shiurim per week. And it's serious learning. Someone that has a busy schedule, 3 to 5 hours a week. Schedule a conversation with the Menahel Poyel today at kollelad.com. Let's dive a little deeper into the nitty-gritties of running of your yeshiva and some of the unique aspects of it. So I actually was zeicha to be I taught in a yeshiva in Monsey for 4 years, Mesivta, who the Rosh Yeshiva's goal, Rabbi Polter, he's a talent par excellence, and so for about 10 years, he was probably one of the only Mesivtas that was mainstream, but really worked with Bachrim that weren't ready to sit all day. And one of the challenges of such a Mosid that he found was that it's just more expensive to run a more personalized one-on-one attention type yeshiva. So does running the yeshiva that you're involved with the added personal attention and the more differentiated learning, does it make it more expensive to run and harder to raise money for, or what are you saying in that regard? in terms of the teacher to bacher ratio and all the differentiative learning?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say there's multiple aspects to this yeshiva. It's not just for people that are struggling to learn, it's also for people that can't learn the same thing for so long. And there's a difference. One is someone that needs to be building a menorah for Hanukkah. The other one is someone that, after learning 3 hours of Gemara, wants to learn Shulchan Aruch, then wants to learn Mesiva, and wants to learn Rambam, etc. So it could be in a Mesivta that someone wants to be of learning the whole day, but just not learning the same subject the whole day. And now the monetary question is, yes, it's more expensive. You have to hire more staff just because you have more topics to cover. We have David Taub teaching a video class, video creation class. I can't teach it even if I wanted to, even if I had the time to. So we need to hire someone else. So if you're hiring someone else, that's going to cost more. And for anything that we want to develop, whether it's halacha class, I'm not able to teach how to kasher a kitchen or a blowtorch or build an eruv. I don't know that well enough to be the teacher for that. So then you have to hire someone else. So that causes a lot more money to need to be spent. But Baruch Hashem, this year so far, people have been very generous to help us get off the ground, and we hope they continue to be. And you have to be willing. Baruch, I have Rabbi Freeman and others have helped tremendously to do the fundraising and help us continue. And it'll be always. No one said opening a yeshiva such as this was going to be easy, but I think there is a very open and positive outlook by people that are willing to donate, that could help us and support this, that they want it to happen. So you call someone up and you tell them what you're doing. I have not gotten a no. Some people say, I can't help you right now. I want to help you. Call me back in a few months. But people understand the need for such a yeshiva, and they understand also the financial struggle that such a yeshiva endures, and they are willing to help, willing to put their money where the mouth is. And we hope to have more and more people like that. It's going to take everyone's help for that.
Amazing. So, okay.
I want to just ask something, what you were saying before about Baruch Hashem, people are sending you money. Do you think it's just another yeshiva they're sending money to, or you think the success in the fundraising is because they see how the uniqueness of this yeshiva in particular, or you can't tell?
No, it's because of what we're trying to do. The people want this to happen. People want a yeshiva that isn't just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. They said there's enough places for people to go that could sit on their own and just learn all day. I was one of them, and I was able to do that. And I didn't need such a yeshiva, and many people don't. But there are also many people, perhaps half of Lubavitch or even more, that need more of a hands-on approach of someone spending time with them, one-on-one or one-on-two, to learn and to develop different other curriculums, etc., for them. So that's what people see, and people want to support it.
About that first category, I have to actually commend you on that in terms of those bachurim that want to learn a whole day, but they need it more broken up personally. And I did a personal podcast on this in my journey. When I was in yeshiva, I obviously was, followed the rules and did learn Gemora for 6 hours a day, but it was very superhuman efforts to get there. Now, post yeshiva, post Semichas, in the last 10 years, Baruch Hashem, I'm able to learn, 5-6 hours a day, but it's completely different. I do, 10, 20 minutes of a subject at a time, and it's completely broken up. And I'll send you a link to where I discuss this for teachers to learn how to cater to their ADHD kids that want to learn, but they need something different, and the nonstop, same subject is just not for everyone. So that's amazing. In terms of the Rabbi Taub you mentioned, I want to hear more about like giving Bachram the arts. That's really an area that our community has very little of. Happens to be
Right.
when I was in Yeshiva, when I was in Cheder in Chicago, we had for the boys, they used to make in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. We always did. The boys also made plays and choirs but like today it's mostly the girls do that and are you trying to make a bit of a renaissance in that area?
Yeah, 100%. There's also a whole big technology side of things that are now people or Bachram are interested in doing, and there's Bachram that are very also they're very good at it. I had a Bachar that helped me is in the middle of helping me revamp the website, and they're making videos, and we want to start a podcast now. The Bachram are interested in that. But the idea is that you could take.
And now you know what a
things
podcast is. You see
yeah,
firsthand.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that I listen to them often, but I could but I know what they are. No, so the idea is to take Torah, to take something in Kedusha, and bring it out in a way that Bachrim really enjoy. It takes thought and creativity, both on my part and on other people's parts, to think of ways to do this. Mainly in the afternoon, Seder. But it's not going out of the realm of Torah. That means we're not teaching people to become plumbers.
So the same way the seminary makes plays, do you see Bachram doing a production? Like is that a
production?
possibility?
I don't know. I never thought about that idea specifically. But we do videos and want to do podcasts as well.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So let me ask more of a general question along these lines.
Yeah.
Because I did quite a bit of research on the Rebbe's position on the Hasidic trade school, Betzalel Malacha, and there was a lot of push the Rebbe had on that. Do you see what you're doing as somewhat in that arena?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and is it a regular Temchet Tmimim track or is it a Beit Sefer Lamalacha type track? And if it's a Beit Sefer Lamalacha, maybe give Bachram actual trades and let guys spend 3 hours, their afternoons going to local, learn how to become a plumber, an electrician, and a handyman. Why just do it, halfway?
Well, we're not doing it halfway. We're doing Temchet Tmimim the full way that a Bachar nowadays could do it. It's all in Torah.
Are they starting to learn their trades now, or is it not that?
So what's a Lubavitcher Bacher's trade?
Become a
I'm going to be careful what I say, but I think that for more than half of them, it's not necessarily traditional shlichus.
Not necessarily traditional shlichus, right? So therefore, we need to help them with the untraditional shlichus.
Right.
Not in a way. No, not become. What I'm trying to say is untraditional shlichus nowadays does not mean that they have to go work. It means that they could, there could be a lot more people going on shlichus or doing shlichus in their own way, if they were exposed to that while they were still in yeshiva.
Do you think potentially that's giving Bachram false hopes and not being realistic?
Why?
Because I don't know. In other words, do you think the numbers are that more than half of your guys in yeshiva are not going to be going on shlichus, and therefore maybe they should start preparing for a trade, or that's not part of your goal?
No, that's not part of our goal. I also feel that yeshiva is not a time to be preparing for a trade.
But that was part of Bet Sefer L'Malacha and the Rebbe's vision.
Right. So then
there was such a concept.
So then perhaps we're not going down that route. No.
Okay. I guess that's what I was asking. In other words, this is more of a traditional yeshiva looking for alternative activities to bring out other
alternative ways to learn, not looking for ways to teach you a trade.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you feel is the most important characteristic for a successful Rebbe Magid Shir Rosh Yeshiva in 2025? If you're looking to hire someone, what's the biggest thing on the top of the list that you're looking for?
Social skills.
Does he need to be qualified for that? Or it just...
He does not need a qualification. He needs to actually have social skills.
How do you elaborate on what's your definition?
How do you know?
So first of all, how do you know? You have to interview and see how he interacts with Bachrim, how he brings with them, how he talks to them, what's his relationship. What is he? How does he view himself? Some people view themselves as a Rosh Yeshiva. They sit on their rock and they learn Torah all day and night. They look up at you when you have a question, and look back down into their sefer. When it doesn't work nowadays.
You have to like people.
Yes, you have to love people. Yeah, the biggest thing is that you're able to relate with Bachrim and with adults as well. But right now you're dealing with Bachrim, so can you talk to a Bachar? Can you interact with them? Can you make a joke? Can you draw them in? Are you able to learn with them? It's very important, more than anything else, perhaps. Yeah, we said the number one thing is social skills, right? Can you talk with someone else? Can you learn with someone else? How do you relate to them? In order to be someone's role model, you have to be their role model. So if you're not their role model, it doesn't work. But not everyone's going to relate to everyone. Meaning that's why you have multiple people in yeshiva. Different bachrim connect with different people and different ways of doing things.
What's your involvement in the yeshiva? How much are you, like, specifically, how much do the bachrim see you?
I'm in the yeshiva building usually 14 hours a day.
But you have probably your own office.
No, not yet. One day we'll get
So you're
one.
in Zal the whole day.
Yeah, the bachrim see me most of the day. Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, along with other members of Menahel.
And you give nigla shirim.
Yeah, I give shirin Gemora. That's the shir that I give, and then I am there as I guess also Menahel this year, wearing 2 hats. Well, more than that. It's the first year, so
your salary's doubled.
My salary is for sure not doubled. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard this teacher asked the Rebbe, how do I become rich? And the Rebbe said, buy a lottery ticket. So the world of chinuch is not known for making rich men, but you get rich in other ways, Baruch Hashem.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. If there's one message you want the Anash community to take away, what would it be?
That relationship with your children and the Menahel and keeping in touch with them is very important. It helps us tremendously when parents are involved. And we want to talk with you as well.
Where could people go to find out more about the Zal in Pittsburgh?
PittsburghZal.com, or email me at info@pittsburghzal.com, or call. My number's on the website. And all the other members of Menahel are happy to speak with.
Grayson Yashikayach, definitely your Meiser Nefesh Laman these Bachrim, and Menu Yiru V'chein Yasu, from you're a mechayer for all the other yeshivas and for the other Menalim, so they're now going to have to be there for 14 hours a day as well. But you're still young, so
I'm young, Baruch Hashem.
Okay, they should give you kaiches and chayes to continue in your avodas hakodesh. Yashikayach.
Amen. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Hey friends, hope all is well. If you haven't heard about Jump Into Shape, let me tell you a little something about Jump Into Shape. Jump Into Shape is an online fitness program where you can work out in a sneeze environment, in the comfort of your home, wherever you are, if you're traveling. And we have all kinds of different workouts, from cardio with jump roping, weighted jump ropes, we have Pilates, we have pelvic, we have weights, we have stability ball. There's so many options, and we have so many programs, set programs, and custom programs. Really, anything you need to get moving, to get exercising. And top of it all, I'll tell you the best part is we hold you accountable and we motivate you to make sure that you get the best workout you can. Everyone, I give you many, many blessings that you invest in your health from now until 120. Nice 20-minute beginner class coming right at you. Work the core a little today. 3, 2.
You should feel it. As long as it's not hurting or straining back and you're feeling the abs, that's We're gonna keep it going, 1 pec at a time, pectoral muscle, chest muscle.
If you've reached this part of the video, you probably enjoyed it. Please consider donating a video or many videos to help us continue doing these amazing interviews. Or you may do it in honor of someone, in memory of someone. It's all good. Hope you enjoyed and see you in the next video. Hey there, do you know anyone that needs coaching? Or do you know someone that needs coaching? Well, you're in luck because I'm starting to coach now. And first session is free. Yes, you heard right, free. You can get a taste of my style by my first few videos. It's pretty good. You can reach out to me at levisocialhome.com, which is also found in the description.